Hi friends, this is the reading mini lesson for lesson 4 this week. Lesson 4 says to read a familiar text of your choice, and then I gave you a link with some read aloud choices if you wanted to have one read to you. Then to think about the story through the story elements. That goes back to our power standard for this week. Our job is to analyze plot elements, including the sequence of events, the conflict, and the resolution. Then we're going to write to identify an event that leads to the conflict and use text evidence to support our thinking. Now, yesterday we did that shared writing piece where we did just that with the space rock. Now today I'm going to give you another example of how you can do this with the text ish. Now, my job is to think through all the plot elements of ish. So I'm pulling out my plot map. We did this last week, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. My goal is to think through the story arc and how the main character moved through his problem, had his problem solved, and moved into the resolution. That phew. Now, you are more than welcome to map out your book of your choice, because today you are not going to write about the space rock and you're not going to write about ish. You are going to practice and have a good practice run before your performance task tomorrow. So we're going to use ish as an example to help you when you are writing your own CER. So I know that the main character in the story, Ish, is Ramon. And the setting is, since it's like a realistic fiction, takes place in his home, mostly. And we have our first uh-oh when his brother laughs at him, when he can't make his drawing just right. Do you remember this happening? And Leon burst out laughing. "What is that?" he said. Then Ramon becomes obsessed with making his drawings look right, but they never do. That problem is getting bigger and bigger. We get to the climax in the story when when Marisol grabs a picture of his and runs away, and he runs after Marisol, enters her room, and sees the crumpled gallery. Do you remember all this? Then he realizes that he can just be Ish. Nothing has to be perfect. It doesn't have to be a perfect vase. It can be vase-ish. And this shifts his character to a whole new scope of thinking, which we went into a lot last week. And the story kind of resolves itself from there. His problem is solved, and the rest of the story is just exploring this idea of imperfection and how sometimes imperfection can bring you a lot of joy. My goal for today, however, is to identify the main problem in the story and how that leads, and how those events in the story lead to that conflict. So let's get started. I'm going to write my name at the top of my paper. I am also going to write the title of the text I'm using for lesson 4. So you are going to choose your own text and you'll write the title up there, so I know which text you're talking about. So for mine, I'm writing about Ish, and this is lesson 4. Okay, and then you're going to write the date at the top. 4/9/2020. Now, you can go back and we can really think deeply in my example last week of how to write that strong claim statement. Remember, a strong claim statement is one sentence that states your opinion. Then we're going to look for evidence from the text to support your opinion. Okay? So my goal is to identify an event that leads to the main problem in the story. Then look for text evidence to support my thinking. Now, I've already identified that first event that pushes Ramon away from his love of art. It's when his brother Leon laughed at him. So I'm going to turn that into my claim statement. I think, and remember, that's a sentence starter you can borrow from me. I think that the main conflict Okay, my claim statement. I think that the main conflict in the story was that Ramon becomes obsessed with making his art look right, and his brother Leon laughing at him kicks off this conflict. That is my claim statement. So I'm writing it in pink so that it's easier to identify when I keep writing. I'm going to switch to purple to start looking for evidence to support my claim. Remember, this is my opinion. You may have a different opinion of one event that kicks off the rest of the conflict, and that's okay. So long as you have text evidence to support your thinking, our opinions are allowed to be different. So let's get started writing the evidence. I'm going to start my evidence with this sentence starter that you are allowed to borrow. I noticed. I noticed that before Leon laughed at Ramon, he was just happy to create art. He wasn't bothered what it looked like. After his brother laughed at him, After his brother laughed at him, Ramon struggles to be perfect and eventually gives up. This one event sparked the main conflict in the plot. And I think that that's good. Remember, during this time, we're really just focusing on claim and evidence. Our claim statement is one sentence that states our opinion, and then our evidence is 2 to 3 sentences that support our claim. Okay? It's just like opinion writing. We have an opinion statement, and then it's our job to support evidence that supports that opinion, to convince others that we're right. Okay? So, your goal for today is to think about a story that you have read or have had a story read to you, and to think about the events that sparked the main conflict in the story. And you are going to write a CER. Okay? You'll submit this into Seesaw that we can see and give feedback before you have your performance task tomorrow, where you're essentially going to do the same thing, but you'll have your feedback from your teachers, and then you'll be able to fix things and make it perfect for your performance task. We have a lot of great resources for finding books online. Remember, you have an Epic account through me, and our class code for Epic is QHT4847. And there are thousands of books for you to choose from. Or you can look at the supporting document I've included in the lesson plans with links to YouTube read-alouds for other really great books. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. I am here to help you. I cannot wait to read your creation stars. I am sure it's going to be wonderful.